Hello everyone. Welcome to today's live. We are going live about how to use DeepSeek today. This is a very beginner-friendly project about DeepSeek, how you can make the most of it, and even compare it with OpenAI. I'm very excited to be doing this project with you today
everyone.
so that you can get started with DeepSeek, even as someone that might just be hearing about it from the news. You might be thinking, oh, should I be like jumping on this train? How can I make the most of it? Is it really true that it's like beating OpenAI? I think what's important is for us to have a hands-on approach to it. You'll really get your own opinion and your own feel of whether or not DeepSeek is something you want to use by just doing like maybe 2 to 3 like exercises with it. So let's have a look at how we can use DeepSeek today. Oh, actually, if you're completely new to DeepSeek and you're thinking, wait, what is DeepSeek again? For some context, DeepSeek is a company that develops large language models, and it's really shaken up the AI industry recently. Their latest model, called DeepSeek R1, is now OpenAI's closest competitor in terms of performance, and it really is open source. So in a nutshell, what that means is you have access to one of the most advanced LLMs in the world for free. So how can you make the most of this new opportunity? Should you start using DeepSeek? Is it really something that you're missing out on if you're not using it? Or is your current LLM actually still the better fit for you? So this project will show you how to explore DeepSeek, get hands-on with its features, and help you decide whether or not this one should be your new favorite. I think it's easy to get caught up in the news headlines. It's easy to be like, wow, like everyone seems to know something about it. So let's form our own opinions, based on what we see ourselves by using it hands-on. We're going to be testing a range of prompts with DeepSeek, and then we're going to be installing two pieces of software. One is called Ollama, and one is called Chatbox. And the two of them combined, they'll help us host DeepSeek locally in your own computer, so you don't need to rely on an external web server or just an external server in general to like process DeepSeek requests. And in a nutshell, what we're going to be doing after testing it online is we're going to start using DeepSeek in our own computers, so we don't need to rely on the web app version. And then we're going to be customizing DeepSeek to match your preferences and your hardware as well, so that you can really get a feel for which version of DeepSeek suits you best. So as a little secret mission at the end, we can do a more in-depth review of DeepSeek versus ChatGPT, which one is better. All right, so really wanted to say hello and thank you to everyone who's in the chat. We have Joe saying, DeepSeek seems more polite than ChatGPT when I communicate with it. Interesting. Is this actually live? Yes, it is, Justin. We have a few people saying that, like, I'm scared, or it's not giving correct answers after training it for a while. These are some very, very valid points. And I'm very excited to mention we get to address all of that as well in this project. All right, so let's get started. And in this project, we're going to be doing the high touch version, which means we'll go through every single step together. You can go for low touch or no touch, which basically means versions of this project that gives less instructions, so you can guide yourself and you'll be less reliant on, I guess, like step-by-step instructions on exactly where to click, exactly where to look. Okay, so let's get started by mentioning what we're here to do today. In this project, we will demonstrate how to use DeepSeek and make the most of this LLM, that seems to be performing at the same level as OpenAI, but at a much lower price point. We're doing this project to learn whether DeepSeek is the new fave LLM. whatever reason it is, share it, enter it here. All right, and all of the responses that you put in these boxes today, they all go towards your own project documentation so that you can save this project and your own thoughts and opinions after this project, and even share it as well if you like to, show somebody, this is something that I just did with DeepSeek and here are my thoughts. Yeah, I hope you enjoy responding to all of these questions and these prompts, which really together at the end form a very cohesive documentation that you can take away. Okay, so we're going to start by using DeepSeek on your browser. It really is the easiest way to use DeepSeek, and you might have some experience with LLMs on your browser before. You might have used ChatGPT before, or Claude, or Gemini. So this step is going to feel very familiar if you have that experience. As we dive into more advanced prompts, that's where you'll start noticing what makes DeepSeek stand out as well. Cool. So in this step, we will use DeepSeek over its web app. We'll also run a few prompts that will help us compare DeepSeek versus another LLM like OpenAI's LLMs. We'll use advanced prompts to put these LLMs to the test. All right. Oh, and a big shout out to Ria. Thank you, Ria, for saying nice. We also have Durrani, is it? Saying hello as well. Hi, nice to meet you, and thanks for joining us. I see we also have a question about Claude AI. Ooh, if you have a specific question about Claude, share it in the chat. In the meantime, we're kind of using ChatGPT as the default option for the LLM you might want to compare DeepSeek with, but you can definitely replace ChatGPT or OpenAI with your LLM of choice. And hello to everyone in the chat saying good morning. Hi, amazing. Appreciate all of the lovely comments. All right, so we're going to just, in your web browser, head to DeepSeek's website now. Now, you're going to notice that sometimes you might notice that registration may be busy. If this is the case for you, just know that you don't have to do this step in order to do the entire project. If it seems that you aren't able to make a new account, you can definitely still continue on with every single other step of this project. Having said that, let's try creating an account and see where we go. Okay, so enter your email address. And I did notice a few comments about data privacy just now. So if you're not feeling comfortable about entering your email, you could consider using a temporary email address instead. So for example, there's a tool called TempMail that you can use to set up a temporary email address. And this is something where you can just have this random inbox and this random email address that you can use for maybe 1 or 2 hours. And then afterwards, you can just close the tab and forget it ever existed. And all of the email and data related to that email address would have just gotten deleted as well. Great alternative if you're not interested in sharing your own email address. Cool. In my case, we can always try actually using the temporary email address here. And then we can just put that in here, write your own password. Whoa. I think I missed something there. And then press send code. Oh, error sending code. Your email domain is currently not supported for registration. Damn, I think they caught on to the TempMail's trick. It worked actually right before this, so I'm mad, but that's okay. In that case, I'll just use the default plan, which is to use my own email. And we'll let it asked to register me. In the meantime, though, what you're gonna see after you register is you'll be able to get a code sent to your inbox, and then you can start running a prompt the moment you're logged in. I noticed that it might take a bit of time for the code to be sent to my inbox again, so I'm gonna skip us ahead and open up DeepSeek in front of us so we can use it together right away. All right. And for everyone that's wanting a recording, Aviola, you've framed it so nicely. Can I come back to watch this project because my eyes are so heavy to sleep? Absolutely. We have a recording of this in the YouTube channel, so definitely I'll see you there. We have Chetana Kotha saying transformer-based architectures. Awesome. We've got Gaurav saying hey. We have a few people saying hello and good morning as well. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we're here in DeepSeek now, and I think let's just get started by entering our first prompt and put it into DeepSeek. Let's run that now. All right, so you're gonna notice that DeepSeek will show you its thinking process. And this is because I have DeepThink turned on over here. As you can see, we have the DeepThink button turned on. But if you don't have the DeepThink button turned on, what you're going to see is just the response straight away. Okay, it just goes straight to sending you a response. If you're curious what the prompt says, it says, summarize the fall of the Roman Empire using only text abbreviations and emojis. So the purpose of writing like a small prompt like this is so that you can just get a response right away, not overwhelm DeepSeek with like a big prompt. But yeah, as you can see here, you just get a response straight away without really knowing what went into this thinking process. Like how did DeepSeek get into creating this, as its emojis, as its response. So that's the reason why DeepSeek R1, which is the latest model that was released and is the one that is neck and neck with OpenAI's O1 model, this is the reason why DeepSeek is really standing out right now, because when you enter your prompt, you not only get the answer, but what you see first is actually DeepSeek's thinking process. And this is a very, very interesting kind of experience to have because it really lets you see the thinking process of an LLM and lets you correct it even better as well. Because previously you might be just seeing a static answer and you're thinking, don't use this emoji. But then if you're actually able to see the thinking process for DeepSeek for R1, you can be a bit more specific around, I noticed that you assumed this, or I noticed that you decided to prioritize this. Let's not do that. Let's do that instead. Let's do this instead. And that is a much better way of giving feedback to the LLM that you're using. Awesome. So some other cool facts about DeepSeek, it also represents kind of like this new era with LLMs because you're seeing reasoning. Unlike older models that do predict the next word in a sequence, that's what a lot of LLMs do. They literally pull apart your prompt and then they look at tokens. And tokens are like the words in your prompt or parts of the words in your prompt. But basically they analyze every single token in your prompt and then they try to, word for word, try to predict what is a good response for that chain of prompts that you have. The reason why this isn't great is because if your prompt is very nuanced, like it actually takes step 1, step 2, step 3 to think through that problem, it might be very, very hard for an LLM to notice that straight up. Whereas reasoning is where you can actually see the LLM review its own responses and spot for intermediate thinking steps, try to verify itself, which gives you a lot of, like, for one, transparency into the problem solving, but more importantly too, it's actually thinking in steps and thinking deeply about the problem. They're a lot more likely to solve a problem in one go because of that, because there is reasoning and because there is checks, which is a much more efficient experience for you. There's less back and forth between you and the LLM. But what's more important is let's chug along with the differences that DeepSeek makes by sharing in our documentation, our prompt and DeepSeek's response, and have a little review of what we've just learned. DeepSeek is a company that develops large language models, LLMs. Their R1 model gained attention for performing at a level at the same level as OpenAI's latest O1 model, but is also open source. This means we have access to a world-class LLM for free or for a low price. Let me update that. Great. Awesome. So that was a very basic prompt that you saw with DeepSeek there. DeepSeek R1, I think, probably had like a real nice time answering a simpler prompt, like trying to explain something like the fall of the Roman Empire with emojis. But what if we were to challenge it to a harder prompt? What if we were to ask it to answer something that requires more reasoning, something that requires more step-by-step thinking? We're going to challenge DeepSeek to something that is a lot more difficult than that first prompt we gave it. And then we're going to see how it compares with another LLM. In this project, I'm going to choose OpenAI as the other LLM that will try to answer the same prompt. See how you go? Pick one that's your go-to, and we'll do it together. Okay, we'll jump into the secret mission now. Cool. Oh, I think I jumped too far. Yeah, I think I jumped too far. There's a bit of a spoiler there. Okay, nice work, everyone. And a big hello to Osail and hello to Edmund. Nice to see you both. Okay, so at the bottom of your current chat, you can just open a new chat like this just by selecting it, and then you can input your prompt straight away. Let's say we want to write a Python script for bouncing yellow ball within a square. Make sure the square is slowly rotating. Make sure the ball stays within the square but is bouncing inside and doesn't escape the square. Oh my goodness. Do I know how to do that? Honestly, no. There's a lot that actually goes into this prompt. Have a second, you can pause this video and have a think, why is this prompt a tricky one? Is it because you have to write a Python script? Is it because the square is rotating? Is it because there's a bouncing yellow ball? All of that is correct, but I think the hardest part about this prompt is the fact that all of it is given to DeepSeek in one go. You're not asking it, step by step. You kind of just gave the entire instructions in one go. And that's what requires a lot of reasoning for an LLM like DeepSeek. They will need to actually break down this prompt, be able to say, okay, let me think about how to, approach this. First, I should figure out which libraries to use. Pygame is a good choice. Next, the square needs to rotate slowly. And then there's a lot to do with collision detection because you need to make sure that the ball inside stays bouncing within the square and the square itself is rotating. So how do you actually put that into a Python script? It's an incredibly hard thing to try to figure out. And we have a bit more of an analysis on why. There's real-time animation, rotation mathematics, there's collision detection. And in general, you would just need a deep understanding of animation with Python and physics principles to do this right. So you need to get both things right and then combine them and then make sure the Python script actually works. So we've given DeepSeek a very, very hard job today. And let's give it a quick recap before we open up ChatGPT and give it the same prompt. So we decided to compare DeepSeek R1 with OpenAI by prompting both to generate a Python script that animates a rotating square with a bouncing yellow ball inside. This is a challenging prompt because, why so? Why is this a challenging prompt? Well, it involves rotation mathematics, Python animation, and Python animation, actually. I can just do it like this. Awesome. So let's also open ChatGPT or your choice of LLM in the meantime. So I'm just gonna open that. And we're gonna give it the same prompt. So you can copy this prompt again, and then let's send it off and see what we get. All right. Write a Python script for a bouncing yellow ball within a square. Make sure the square is slowly rotating, and so on and so forth. So as you might notice, ChatGPT decided to open up Canvas for us, which I'm personally a fan of. I really do quite like having something like Canvas that will make editing something a lot easier as you converse with ChatGPT on the side. Yeah, this is one thing that I do quite like about using ChatGPT. All right, so unlike DeepSeek R1, notice how you actually get a response from ChatGPT immediately. Like this came through very, very quickly, whereas, I think DeepSeek is on here. As you can see with DeepSeek, it seems to be taking its time. And, thinking stopped as well. So what would have happened here is, I think because of the networking issues recently with DeepSeek getting overwhelmed with the amount of traffic going into DeepSeek, thinking actually stopped. So I would say this is a traffic issue. Yes, it seems like it just stopped midway through a sentence. So not the best experience, to be honest, but we're gonna regenerate and see whether or not it gives us an answer. As we mentioned before at the start of this project is not as much about like, this is why I should use DeepSeek, and more about this is how you can compare the two so that you can form your own opinion around which one you'd want to use. Okay, so having said that, we have the code now. So we have ChatGPT's code, and all we gotta do now is actually put these responses to the test. Let us open Trinket, which is a tool that lets you run Python code live, and let us just put in ChatGPT's code and see what we get from ChatGPT. So let's put that into our good friend Trinket over here, and let's try run ChatGPT's code. What do you think? Do you think we're gonna get that rotating square and the bouncing yellow ball? We were so close. Do you see that, guys? That was pretty fun though. I was having quite a lot of fun there. Wait, I want to watch that again. Like it felt really promising. But ChatGPT's code, eventually the ball bounced away, far, far away, and I don't think we're seeing that ball again. And that is what's happened every single time I've tested this prompt so far, and I've tested it probably more than 10 times now. I think out of all 10 times, as of today, The square will be rotating, but there's no bouncing ball inside. Try the prompt. Let us know. Do you get the same results? Is there a bouncing ball inside? I'm truly convinced that out of everyone that tests this prompt, at least one time it's going to work for someone. And it's totally possible if ChatGPT's code ended up working for you. AI models don't always generate the same response at every run, so you might find that ChatGPT's code works. That really is part of the art and science of LLMs, and why it's so tricky when people are wanting to review LLMs and say which one is better. I think it's very, very, very hard to predict with like 100% certainty, which one is the better LLM at all times. So let's have a look at DeepSeek's response in the meantime. And look at that, it says the server is busy, please try again later. This truly has been the DeepSeek experience over the last week and a half maybe. It's a bit sad, that it seems like we can't really showcase the best of DeepSeek. Like DeepSeek is kind of showing us a bit of sadness because it's so busy. But hopefully by the time you're doing this project, maybe some of the network traffic will clear up. Luckily though, I think I have a copy of my first interaction with DeepSeek. And this was actually just this morning, so I'm a little sad to see that it seems like it's weighed down by even more network traffic today at the moment. But this was DeepSeek's response to me the first time I did this, the first few times I did this, and also right before this project demo. So it did take a while. It took almost 3 minutes to get to its answer, whereas ChatGPT clearly started printing code for us instantly. But after this very, very long thinking process, extremely long thinking process, oh my goodness, you can see finally we have a Python script using Pygain to create a bouncing yellow ball. So let's copy this code and let's see whether or not this works better. We'll stop this now and we'll play this one. Give that a run and see what we get. Awesome. So this one is DeepSeek's response. As you can see, what it does well is there is a rotating square and there is a bouncing yellow ball. So 2 big green ticks for DeepSeek's response. What I am a little sad about is to see those network errors coming through live. And I feel like, yeah, that's something that really comes with, a lot of attention, a lot of traffic going into DeepSeek. I'm hoping that by the time you're doing this project, you get to see this live, like in front of your screen as well. All right. So first of all, what did you think of ChatGPT's script? Let's give it a little review, shall we? So to test ChatGPT's response, we put ChatGPT's Python script into Trinket. And watched it run live. ChatGPT's results came instantly, but the code itself did not run successfully. There was a rotating square, but no bouncing yellow ball inside. Pretty sad about that. And let us get into the next bit, which is to take a screenshot of the rendered rotating square and to review ChatGPT versus DeepSeek for the first time. So let's take a screenshot of Trinket and our rendered square, and let's have a go at putting that in our documentation. Woo! Okay, so it's over here now, and let's talk about it. What's your verdict, team? Compared to ChatGPT's performance, what do we think? We thought DeepSeek's response was What do you think? We thought DeepSeek's response was more accurate. The code it produced rendered a functioning model of my prompt, of what we wanted. Although it took 3 minutes to generate. What do you prioritize? You know, this is where you ask yourself, what do you want from your LLM? Do you want speed? Do you want accuracy? Do you want transparency behind the thinking process? I think the answer around whether or not, DeepSeek is something that you should use, that kind of answer comes from within. What do you prioritize? So, for example, we prioritize accuracy, so we preferred DeepSeek. Totally valid. If you wanted to say, oh, I actually don't mind going back and forth, I like that feedback process, I like being able to see ChatGPT reiterate again and again and again. So if you prioritize speed and that kind of interactive experience, you might end up actually preferring ChatGPT over DeepSeek. So completely up to you which one actually suits your preferences best. Okay, but that was step 1, which is a quick introduction into DeepSeek. I hope you had a lot of fun with that. I had a lot of fun seeing the rotating squares render. And now that we have a bit of an understanding of DeepSeek now, and the fact that that live reasoning process is so unique to DeepSeek, we'll now try to figure out how to self-host DeepSeek. There are so many cool things about self-hosting that I think maybe we're not familiar with yet, because it's not a very, very common thing to do yet. But maybe DeepSeek will be the reason why you start self-hosting too. So let's have a quick gaze at what self-hosting actually means and why we're doing it. Before we dive in though, I just wanted to make a big shout out to all of the lovely comments here. Thank you, Amber, for saying I love it more. I'm guessing this is DeepSeek that you love more. Curious. We have Gara saying I just love the next sort interface. It's so clean. That is amazing. I can't wait to share this with the team. I think they're going to be stoked to hear that too. Oh, thank you. That is so cool. And we also have DT saying, I guess due to heavy traffic, it took 3 minutes. I think this is a good point. It could be due to heavy traffic as well that it took 3 minutes for the response to generate. I also think it could be a matter of spending more time on the reasoning. The observation that a lot of people have had about DeepSeek compared to ChatGPT is that it seems to doubt itself a lot. It seems to go through this wait, but am I sure? Is that really true? Maybe this thing instead. Maybe I should consider 3 other alternatives before I give this first answer. So because of that extended reasoning time, I think that could have also helped with making it a 3-minute kind of prompt, something that took DeepSeek 3 minutes to respond to. Great, and we have Krishna. Oh my goodness, it's so good to see you here. Krishna is so cool. Thank you so much for all of your support for the YouTube channel. It's always been so much fun seeing you in every single corner of the Next Week YouTube channel. And thank you so much for the support, Krishna. Yeah, Aditi is also accuracy over speed. I am very, very much on that team as well. Hargun says, I love how it shows us what it's thinking. Super insightful. Yeah, I think so too. You get to really understand the thinking process, but don't let it throw you off. I think that's the one con that could come from seeing a thinking process. I think you can easily get worried at the start of reading the thinking process because you might be like, oh my gosh, you got it way off. I don't know how you interpreted my prompt, that way. But then it actually just takes maybe a minute or two to eventually see that thinking veer itself into the right path. So some people have actually complained about seeing the thinking process because apparently it stresses them out too much. So interesting, eh? All right, let's jump into step 2. Now we're going to self-host DeepSeek, and we're going to start by really understanding why self-hosting is even like a thing. Why do people even self-host? And that comes from a problem with using the web app. So web-based solutions, or like web-based ways to interact with LLMs, ChatGPT is one, DeepSeek Online, which we just did, is another one. There are 3 big things that people often mention, or people are often concerned about. The first thing is that you just need constant internet connection in order to get an answer. If you're offline, it looks like your connection to ChatGPT is offline as well. The second thing is about latency. We literally just saw this with DeepSeek. Very, very sadly, you will get network issues if you don't. You will just get network issues, or DeepSeek's thinking process just gets cut off if it's really, really busy right now. And in general, this is the thing for all web apps. It will run slower when there are lots of people sending requests, and the servers on the other side can't seem to handle all of that traffic. Of course, I think a big one that was already raised actually in the comments as well is things around data privacy. So when queries are run through external servers, it's easy to get concerned around, okay, where is all of my data stored? Where is all of my data used? Because LLMs can be used for things like processing data, and it could be personal data, people can feel very hesitant. Oh, I don't want to put through like confidential company data through this. I don't know who's going to be seeing it. I don't know who is going to be like using it. And because of that, like people might not really use an LLM. So hosting DeepSeek locally just means that you're running DeepSeek on your own computer and you don't need the web app at all. Your device does all of the processing, so no external servers are involved with the processing of your requests as well. You're going to see this in a second, but what that means for you is that you get to use DeepSeek offline, you get to keep all of your data private to yourself, and you also get faster responses since there's no waiting on the internet. So let's install a tool called Ollama that lets you host DeepSeek on your computer. Cool, shall we jump into it? Whoa. While you could access DeepSeek over the web app, some concerns are privacy, i.e., where is data stored? What else? What is another concern? We did talk about constant internet connection needed, i.e., connection gets cut off without the internet. And what else? There was one more thing. It was latency. And latency. Slow traffic, response times when lots of people use it. Oof, I just maxed out my character count. This is iconic. I would say, okay, let's make it simpler. Slow response times during high traffic. Great work. So if you already have Ollama installed, you can skip ahead to the next step. But for everyone here that's also new to Ollama, let us download this tool that helps us with running DeepSeek locally. And a big shout out to everyone that's in the chat that's also talking about DeepSeeks. There's some really cool discussions going on. Big shout outs to Dari saying hi everyone. So good to see you here, Dari. And thank you so much to Winton MJ. It's awesome to have you here too. And we also have Mohammed. Mohammed is here. Thank you so much. It's been awesome seeing you in the community, by the way, Mohammed. And now here through YouTube, my goodness. And Sarab is doing such a good job. Big shout out to all of your LinkedIn posts about Next Week projects. You have been doing an amazing work. You have been doing amazing work as well. Okay, let's jump into downloading Ollama. Classic first step. We're just going to be visiting the Ollama website. And then you're going to select that download button here. And you can pick whichever operating system you're currently using and select that option for download. Okay, downloading might take about a minute. It really depends on your internet speed. So in the meantime, let's talk about what really Ollama is. It is a tool that makes it easy to host LLMs, like DeepSeek, on your own computer. So imagine if you can just chat with an LLM offline. You don't have to go onto your browser, type in, I think, chatgpt.com, and then start a chat. I think what's really cool about using Ollama is that you can literally just have that conversation within your computer terminal. Pretty cool, right? Ollama takes care of the downloading, installing, and the running of the model. So usually, without Ollama, trying to use an LLM locally in your own computer takes so many steps to do, because you have to find the LLM, you have to gather all of the files for setting it up locally, and then you also need to write the commands to set it up locally and make sure that the installation, nothing goes wrong, because what if the installation files don't match your hardware as well. So Ollama really takes care of making that a very, very smooth process for you, and it also gives you more control around the LLM that you're using. We're gonna take advantage of that in a second, but let's just focus on downloading Ollama for now, and recapping what we've learned. Great. Ollama is a software for using LLMs locally on our computer. It is helpful for helping us. It is helpful because it manages the downloading, installing, and updating of an LLM for us, which usually would take a lot of manual work. Is there anything else you want to talk about with Ollama? If you want, you can always explore Ollama a little bit. They have an amazing GitHub page, by the way, with lots of great documentation about what they do and why they do it. So I would highly recommend checking it out if you're someone that likes having some sort of GitHub repo inspo. But I'm not going to go too deep into this. It is a bit of a rabbit hole. So we're going to go back to that download page, and we're going to submit our answer and get into installing Ollama. Okay, so you've downloaded the files for installing Ollama. It's kind of like you've just gotten a package delivered to your door. It's like ding dong, Ollama is here, Ollama's ready, but you just haven't opened the package yet. It's still a sealed package. So even though you've downloaded some sort of software, you still actually need to open it and install it properly to start using Ollama in your computer. Let's get into it, and I'll be following the macOS instructions, but you can always switch to Windows or switch to the Linux instructions as well. Great. So let's get into our downloads folder and select that zip file. Okay, you're going to see that we have Ollama opening up, looking real cute in our downloads folder, so you'll just have to open it like this. And yeah, go ahead, let's open it. Move it to your applications folder. And let's get started. Welcome to Ollama. Okay, I just realized you can't see it here. Here we go. And awesome, a big shout out to everyone that's in the chat. You guys are sending so much love to the live today, which is so sweet. So we have Snowa saying hello. We've got Charan. We've got Amber saying Ollama is so cute and useful. I have to agree. We have Chitana saying, it's my first time attending your live. It's amazing. Oh, wow, that's so cool. Thank you so much. Joe likes llamas. I feel like it's a pretty nice animal to like. It's just so sweet. If llamas are secretly evil, someone will have to tell me in the chat. Otherwise, I will definitely assume that llamas are sweet and wholesome animals. Okay, so you're going to have to enter your password, and this is going to be something that you will need to allow Ollama access to, because it just needs to be able to access your computer and be able to connect you with LLMs that it wants to install into your computer. So this is something that you do need to enter your password for and allow access for. All right, so once you've given Ollama access, you can run your first model. You can see a fun little command here called Ollama run llama 3.2. So run this command to start running a LLM called Llama. And Llama actually is I looked into this, it's quite interesting. Llama is a LLM from Meta. So Meta developed Llama. But Ollama is a startup that developed this Ollama software that we're using. So I don't think Llama and Ollama are actually related. It might just be a little Easter egg that Ollama is recommending this LLM for us to use. Okay, so whoa, let us go all the way down here and make sure that we have the correct version of Ollama installed. So shall we actually open up the terminal and run our first command? So I'm just opening up the terminal here now, and let's run our first command to help us confirm that we actually have Ollama installed. Okay, so let's get into it, and let's say Ollama version. So that's going to be the command we run. And here we go, we do have an Ollama version printed out here, and that is the best way to confirm that you have installed Ollama correctly. You can also find like a little icon for Ollama probably in your kind of toolbar. This is also another way for you to confirm that Ollama is open and it's running correctly. Okay, great success everyone. And that's step 2 all done. So we've just installed Ollama, which is a tool that helps us with accessing DeepSeek locally. So in step 3, we're going to be finding different DeepSeek models for us to use with Ollama, and then kind of think about Ollama as a bridge between your local computer and DeepSeek. And in this step, we're like crossing that bridge. We're like, thanks Ollama for like helping us, get through this little gap and get to the other side, which is the ability to chat with DeepSeek locally. This is really exciting. If you like to visualize what this looks like, just imagine your terminal. If you've used your terminal, it's almost like you're just typing commands into the terminal, but actually every single thing you type is kind of like just a conversation, a chat with DeepSeek. And you're gonna see how you can actually just use DeepSeek even without any Wi-Fi, without any internet, which is so much fun. I love that part. Okay, let's get into it, team. In this step, we will use Ollama to connect with DeepSeek. I would say we will use Ollama to start using DeepSeek locally. I think that is the better way to say it, because I feel like if you say connect, it might be easy to assume like, oh, am I connecting to DeepSeek like over the internet? But actually we're literally like downloading DeepSeek and using it locally. So it's more like in this step we will use Ollama to have a version of DeepSeek locally that we can use even while we're offline. We will be able to start having conversations with DeepSeek over the terminal. My goodness. Ollama is so useful, isn't it? So to get started with this step, we're going to head to the Ollama library, so you can just click on here to get access right away. Now, before we really get into it, let's search for OpenAI before we search for our options with DeepSeek. Okay, search for OpenAI, everyone. What do you find? Nothing. You don't find OpenAI from the search results. And this is a bit of a learning around, again, why DeepSeek is kind of making headlines right now. Ollama focuses on open source models like DeepSeek. And in contrast to DeepSeek, OpenAI's models are actually closed systems. What that means for you and me is that we don't get access to the underlying architecture, the code base, or the data sets used to develop OpenAI models. All of that is confidential. And because it's confidential, it's not possible to use OpenAI locally in your machine. And because it's not possible to use it locally in your machine, there's no way you could find it on Ollama, which is all about being able to access LLMs locally. I think the real cool thing here is like you really get to, as you explore Ollama more, you really get to see you have access to so many open source models. And to be honest, DeepSeek is one of many. So if you want to give yourself the challenge, if you want to extend this even more, don't stop at DeepSeek R1. Have fun with all of the different models that are out there and see if you actually have another open source model you like more than DeepSeek. In the meantime, though, we're just gonna have a little chat about why you can't find OpenAI in Ollama. You won't be able to find OpenAI models in Ollama. You're like an investigative journalist. You're like saying, look guys, you can't find this in Ollama because OpenAI is not open sourced. So really, to be specific, OpenAI models are not open source. This means the configuration, I think there was another specific word here. Yeah, the configuration, the code base, and the architecture that makes up OpenAI models are confidential and not available in open source LLM platforms. I think this is really one of the big reasons why DeepSeek is so popular too. To be able to have access to something that's so high performing and hitting all of these benchmarks, with great results, and to still be open source is truly something that people are saying like you're changing everything. You're changing the game here. Okay, so with that, let's jump into DeepSeek R1, and let's get straight into downloading DeepSeek's brain into our local computer. You might find it a bit surprising actually to go to DeepSeek R1 and if you just look a little closely into the description like this, it says including 6 dense models distilled from DeepSeek R1, and then there are a lot of options here. It might feel a little bit like what's going on. Just know this, when you are using DeepSeek over the web app, so when you are using this version of DeepSeek, you're kind of like using DeepSeek R1 at 100% full capacity, available to you over the web app. It takes a lot of processing power, of resources to be able to run DeepSeek at full capacity. It's a big task for any server. And because of that, if you are making DeepSeek open source, the ideal scenario here is that other people can start using this large language model. But imagine you come out saying, look guys, we have this super high performing model. It is neck and neck with O1, have fun, you share it, and it's like turns out you need 404 gigs of memory to be able to use it. It will be a bit of a sad day because it's such a great model, but you might be excluding a lot of people for releasing something that costs a lot of resources to run. And that's the reason why something called distillation exists and distilled models exist. Distilled models you can think of as kind of like the mini version of that main 100% full capacity version of DeepSeek. You're kind of using something that is a smaller kind of model, and smaller literally as well, because it takes less storage and it takes less processing power and it takes less memory to run. But it's also smaller because 1.5b here refers to 1.5 billion parameters. And what that means for you is that it means that there are kind of like 1.5 billion little decision makers within this model that helps DeepSeek make a decision on how it should respond to you. If you had 671 billion decision makers in the room, you best believe you have a lot of reasoning and a lot of different kinds of perspectives, different kinds of ways of interpreting something, which usually results in more accurate responses and more accurate answers. If you have 1.5 billion decision makers in the room, yeah, sure, you'll still get a very, very informed answer, and it'll still be accurate a lot of the time. It's just that it's more likely that your response might not be 100% accurate. It's a bit more likely that maybe it's not as in-depth as what a full version would give you. It's still a very, very fun version to have though, and the fact that you can have it locally is a huge win. So let us select that 1.5b version. And notice how this little command pops up to the right-hand side. We're going to be using that. So let us copy this command. Okay. And let us answer this cool little question here to summarize our learnings. DeepSeek R1 has different model sizes, which means R1, which means you can use a smaller version of R1, i.e. a distilled model that comes in a smaller number of parameters and is faster to run. And I think I'm going to clarify in my response here that having a smaller number of parameters means less accurate, means that it's less accurate, but it is faster to run. This is helpful for running DeepSeek locally. Oops, I just realized I might have run out of characters here. So let us read the answer together. And I wonder how I can shorten this. DeepSeek R1 has different model sizes, which means you can use smaller versions of R1, i.e. a distilled model that comes in a smaller number of parameters but is faster to run. This is helpful for running DeepSeek locally. Okay, I got you. So DeepSeek R1 has different model sizes, which comes in varying levels of processing needs and accuracy. This is helpful for running DeepSeek locally because we can pick and choose which model fits our hardware requirements best. Not everyone has access to 404 gigs of memory, that's for sure. Okay, so we're gonna copy that command over here. All right, got it all copied. And then we are going to head back into the computer's terminal and run that command. Okay, I'm really excited to be running that command with you. Let's have a go. And watch how it says it's pulling the manifest. So pulling the manifest basically means it's Ollama is now on a run. It's going to fetch DeepSeek's blueprint that tells the computer how to set up and run the model. The manifest file is something that includes instructions for downloading and configuring everything correctly. The actual brain of DeepSeek is the model itself. So that model gets downloaded after the manifest. Think of the manifest that it pulls as this huge setup guide. Okay, and now it's like pulling the specific kind of files that are inside that setup guide. The model really is the intelligence that your computer is going to use to process some prompts and generate those responses. It's just really cool that we can literally download like DeepSeek's brain and use it locally. And it's so great for data privacy too. When you're ready, you're going to see a prompt that tells you to send a message and say less. Let us enter the first prompt right away and say hello to DeepSeek over the terminal. It looks like we're almost there. So in the meantime, I just wanted to say a big shout out to all of the amazing comments here. We got some llamas in the chat. We got Joe saying llamas are evil. They're really bad spitters. Is this a personal experience? We got Tanakrit. Hi Tanakrit, saying hello from Thailand. Oh my goodness, thanks for spending time here. What an honor. Manish, thank you so much for the kind comment. That it's a great video. That means a lot. We've got Indrajit saying Quen 2.5, how to run that locally. Good question. Is that an Olama? I actually haven't looked into Quen yet. It seems like it is. Quen 2.5 is an Olama. You might just have access to Quen 2.5, my friend. So if you learn the skills of using Olama, you can Olama for running DeepSeek. Absolutely, you can apply that for running Quen 2.5 locally as well. And we've got some love from India. Thank you, Jay. That is so sweet. That's awesome. Okay, team. Let us start running this. Oh, it says error. Post connection reset by peer. I think I know where this is coming from, but I'm just a little bit taken aback because I know that might slow us down a little bit. That's okay. Let me just try to investigate this for a second here. I'm gonna start by understanding what it means by a connection was reset by the peer. It could have been because I actually deleted Olama. So usually what you can do is you can try to restart this. You can try to restart the connection here. We'll have to see if this is something that we can do. So shall we start by trying to see what's happened locally here? For context, what's happening here is we're trying to, when we run the command Olama run, and then there's DeepSeek R1 1.5b, what we're trying to do is we're trying to pull the files, we're trying to download the DeepSeek brain, but we're also trying to do a second thing. We're trying to actually just start the chat and start talking with Olama right away. Start talking with DeepSeek right away. But what we're running into now is actually an error that says, hello, I'm sorry, but I can't connect you with DeepSeek right now. It seems like DeepSeek's busy. Or it seems like the connection to take us to DeepSeek is busy right now. It was reset by peer. Interesting. If it was reset by the peer, that usually means there was a server that actually closed the connection. So we might actually need to check if that server is running. Let's have a go. And thanks everyone in the chat for the support. That's really sweet. I think the command is to do lsof to check the server, but I'm not 100% sure. Let us see if we can. It does seem like Ollama is actually running because there's something called name Ollama, and there's something that says listen. So it should actually be working, but let's see what happens if I do this, which is to retrieve like a response from the Ollama connection, the Ollama endpoint, and see what happens. Okay, so it seems that we're kind of getting to the root of the problem here. We might need to restart Ollama and see whether or not we can do this again. So let us just stop the Ollama process and let us try start it again. Address already in use. I think we might need to I'm thinking that we might need to reset this whole connection with Ollama. This is some very fun live troubleshooting, so thanks so much for sticking with me. But let's have a look what's happened here. Should we try to kill the Ollama service again and see whether something's happened there? Well, I'm surprised because it still seems to be working here. So let us see if we can stop the Ollama process and then restart it again. This is getting suspicious, team. Let's give it a go. I think we should be fine. Let us have a look again. Let us see if we can run that command. Oh, it seems like we've successfully stopped Ollama from running, which is good. So let's try opening Ollama now and try to run the command for using DeepSeek again. What do we think? Do we think it's going to work this time? I hope so. Let's see what happens next. I'm quite curious myself. But this is for everyone that's just joining right now, we're going through some live troubleshooting because we were running a command for running DeepSeek R1 with Ollama. But it seems like we've actually gotten into an era where I feel like it seems like a network error where we were trying to access the place where Ollama is connecting us to DeepSeek. But unfortunately, it seems like that connection keeps getting reset or it keeps getting closed by the server. I'm not too sure why this is happening, to be honest. But the only suspicious thing that I did before this demo is that I did just delete Ollama, and I also deleted some of the other software that we're using for this project. Could that have caused it? If it did, I'm sorry, team. Seems like it set us back a little bit for this project demo, hasn't it? Keeping my fingers crossed. But in the meantime, what we should be expecting here is that you will start to be able to use DeepSeek in the terminal. So what we should be expecting is once you run the classic Ollama run and then DeepSeek model and then the DeepSeek model size, you can actually just run hello and it will actually start responding to you, your terminal. It's like you're talking to your terminal like your terminal has like a mind, and it's a bit buzzy. It seems like it's worked now, so thank goodness. And let's write our message. Hello. How can I assist you today? Oh my gosh. We're like talking. with DeepSeek over the terminal. And that is just so cool to me. You don't need your web app to actually use an LLM. You can actually just start sending messages here. I'm so excited to talk to you over the terminal. Okay. The user just said they're really excited to talk about it. Maybe they want to set up a chat or something. I should invite them to start talking soon. Well, thank you for those kind thoughts, DeepSeek. That is very, very kind of you. DeepSeek says, great, feel free to start the conversation with me anytime. Well, that's very sweet. And then you can always just enter bye to stop that conversation with DeepSeek and, you know, keep on going with other commands you might want to be using. Oh, good. But in the meantime, let's head back to Ollama and select another model that your computer can run. So just now we were running the lightest version. Oh, I'm on Quen right now. Let's go back to DeepSeek. So just now we were using 1.5B, but there are so many other options that you can use. There's 8B, which is about 4.9 gigs of memory, and then it gets a bit more steep from there. 14B, if you have about 9 gigs of memory that you can spare. I would recommend something like 8B because I think most computers, if you don't have a browser that's taking up a lot of memory space, you should be able to run 8B. So I'm going to pick 8B for us, and I'm going to run that too so that you can see it. And off it goes. Again, same process. Let's download it, and let's try to run it as well. Oh, this one might take a bit of time, wouldn't it? That's okay. While we wait, we can also talk about the R1 model you choose to run locally and how you decide. So the R1 model you choose to run locally depends on the memory and storage space in your computer. We chose the 8B model, i.e. 8 billion parameters. And what does that mean? What do you think? We chose the 8B model, i.e. 8 billion parameters model, because it offers a substantial improvement from the 1.5B model and is still accessible for our computer. Just great. I can see that we have a bit left to install here, so I think 8B takes time to install, and that's okay. We can move on to just understanding a bit more about what's ahead while we're waiting for this. Okay, what's next is you can start using a more complex prompt and try to do it offline. So turn off your computer's Wi-Fi and actually try to use DeepSeek while you're offline too. Can you actually get a response even while you're offline? Is it really true? You don't need Wi-Fi to start using it. Just put it to the test. Let's give it a go. So let's copy this. And to be honest, knowing that this is taking a bit of time, I might just start a new window for us so that maybe we can have that conversation with the 1.5B model instead. So maybe we can run Ollama run DeepSeek R1 with 1.5B. Is that going to work? I sure hope so. Let's see. Ollama run R1, DeepSeek R1, the 1.5B parameters one. There we go. We don't need to pull the manifest anymore because it's already in our local computer now. All you got to do is just start sending messages. So let us send that message that says, can I use DeepSeek while offline, and see what our 1.5B model is going to say. Oof, it gives us some pretty generic answers. There isn't a lot of thinking here compared to what's in the screenshot. The screenshot is if you ask it to the 8B parameters model, but for now we asked it to the lighter one, 1.5B, and it just tells us, DeepSeek is an AI assistant. While DeepSeek operates using AI technologies, all operations are conducted online. For more detailed information about DeepSeek, please refer to the official documentation conducted online. But I just realized that I should not turn off my Wi-Fi so I do not cut off the live. I hope I didn't just cut off the live. That would be no way. I hope I did not just cut off the live by turning off Wi-Fi. I got way too invested in this project, and I totally forgot that I still need Wi-Fi to keep this live going. I hope someone out there can help me confirm that I did not just cut off our live. That would be intense. Let me just double check that we are still live. And we'll keep going. Okay, it looks like we're still live. Thank goodness. Let's keep going, team. Okay, so let's see what's going on with our 8B model. Okay, it's still going. That's totally okay. Wow, the 8B is really taking its time to install. I wonder how long it's going to end up taking. This is the first time I've seen it take longer than 1 minute, honestly. So I'm quite surprised. But please, thank you so much to everyone telling me that I'm still live. Thank goodness for that. And thank you for confirming. That's so sweet. I've got Iman in the chat here as well. Hey, Iman. But try turning off Wi-Fi and try accessing DeepSeek while offline. Local hosting really means you don't need another server to process the prompt. The DeepSeek model is running entirely on your device. It doesn't need internet connectivity anymore. You can think of the web app. When you're online, the web app is kind of like your portal to the LLM to process the results and pass it back to you. But in this case, now the portal is your terminal. Your terminal is like, all right, tell me what you want, and I'll pass it to DeepSeek, and then DeepSeek's gonna give the response back to me, and I'll pass it back to you, over the terminal. And then you give your response, and then instead of the terminal having to go online and passing it to another server, it simply passes that request that you have into the locally hosted DeepSeek that's in your computer. And you would need Ollama to be open for that to happen, because Ollama is kind of like that bridge between like you and DeepSeek as well. So you can kind of think of kind of your terminal as this messenger, and then Ollama is like this bridge that your messenger needs to cross to be able to communicate with DeepSeek and then run back and then pass the results back to you. And you would have seen this just now, but there are also think tags happening here. So think tags are a terminal version of that real-time reasoning display that we saw there. And you can still see how DeepSeek is generating its response even when you're in the terminal. So that's pretty cool. They would be empty for requests that are more straightforward and maybe doesn't require any deep thinking. I think the cool thing that you'll learn is that DeepSeek also decides whether or not it's gonna give you the deep thinking display as well. So if DeepSeek decides, oh, actually this is not going to be like a very, very important thing for you to find out, I don't need to show you the reasoning, it can actually retract it. So that's pretty interesting. And as always, enter bye in the terminal to finish your session. Okay, so you can always just tap bye like this, and then you close your conversation with DeepSeek in the terminal. So much fun, eh? Okay, so we'll take a screenshot of DeepSeek's response in the terminal. Make sure that the think tags are populated as well. Bonus points if you can show Wi-Fi was off, but I don't think I can do that. I can afford to do that, so that's okay. Let us take a screenshot of this one while we're still waiting for the 8B one to download. Okay, and record some of your learnings in your documentation. So we tested using DeepSeek offline by, what do we do? Do you remember? We tested using DeepSeek offline by turning Wi-Fi off and running commands over the terminal, and observe that we are still getting responses back from DeepSeek, the locally hosted one, of course. You can also see think tags in the terminal that represent DeepSeek's live thinking process. Great. Okay, so that was step 3, all done. Well done being able to use DeepSeek locally in the terminal. That is honestly quite magical, isn't it? So we're gonna go to the next thing, which is all about using Chatbox with Ollama. So the terminal is really good for quick tests, but you might just miss the look of the web app. You know, the web app does do a really, really good job of organizing your chats, making it look really nice, and formatting the responses as well to look really good. If you're missing that and you want that, there is a tool out there called Chatbox to help you organize your conversations in the terminal and make those conversations look like, you know, what it looks like in the web app too. Let's set that up. So we're going to be installing Chatbox, connecting it to Ollama, and then chat with DeepSeek models using Chatbox. So I know this is like another new software that we're interacting with. So let's do a quick roundup. We've got DeepSeek here, DeepSeek R1, which is going to be that LLM that we're using to really interact with and get all the insights. You can think of DeepSeek kind of like as the brain that we're interacting with today. We got Ollama here, which is like our bridge to DeepSeek. So it's like our bridge to the brain. We kind of need to cross that bridge so that we can use DeepSeek locally. And now we've got Chatbox. So Chatbox is something that we're installing and using so that the interaction with DeepSeek is very nice and visual as well. It looks really good. So you can think of Chatbox as kind of like just a way to make the conversation really easy. I wonder what's a good analogy for it. Do you think like we could say it's almost like Chatbox is like it's like helping, I was almost gonna say like wearing really nice clothes, but I don't think that's the best analogy. Like what's an analogy we can use to say like we're organizing it very, very well? I almost wanna say, you know, if DeepSeek is like this very, very scattered like brain or this very, very scattered conversation, like Chatbox is a way where you can actually organize things into boxes. It's almost like a shelf. It's like a library, like a bookshelf where you can just organize things properly. Yeah, really looking forward to just showing you Chatbox as well so you can use it in action. To everyone wanting the recording, absolutely, you can access it over YouTube. Please search Nextwork so you can find us. Tesla has a great tip. You can also use Command D to close the interaction if you're chatting with DeepSeek over the terminal. And to Tenapon asking what are the tools you use for the prompts, you can find all the prompts that we're using today over the Nextwork project. So let me just paste the link to the project over here, so maybe that helps you with getting access to the prompts that we're using today. Great. All right, let's get into it. So in this step, we are using Chatbox to apply a visual interface for our conversations with DeepSeek. Let's head into the Chatbox homepage now, and let's download it and use the best options for your operating system. So I'm gonna go into Chatbox AI, free download, and then select the best option for my operating system. For myself, I know I'm using Apple Silicon, so I'll be choosing that one. And for all the Apple users out there, if you want to know how to do this for yourself, just select About This Mac from the top left corner. And if you have a chip that says Apple, go for Apple Silicon, and you might have a chip that says Intel instead. If that's the case, select Intel. But let's click Apple Silicon because that's the one I'll be using. And the download's gonna start. So let's get downloading. And we'll open it, put it into our applications folder, and start chatting right away. I'm so excited to be using Chatbox with all of you. It is a lot of fun. In the meantime though, it looks like 8B, DeepSeek R1, the 8B model has finally installed. So let us send a quick message to it. Shall we say, hello? Oh, it's taking its time. Work today. But that's okay. I feel like this could also be because I'm streaming while I'm also using an LLM, which could be overwhelming my computer a little bit. It might not have like the memory to handle all of this. Let us say, can I use DeepSeek offline, and see what kind of response we get. Aha! Look at this. I really like this comparison. Whoa, this is so cool. Now we're actually going into a bit of a thinking process to answer the question whether we can use DeepSeek offline. And remember, just now with the 1.5B model, there was no like think tag. It just gave us an answer that wasn't very, very useful. But this time, the 8B tag is trying to be useful here. And it actually has a bit of a reasoning process before giving us an answer. So this is great. I think it's a great way to see a comparison between 8B and 1.5B, and already how the responses can feel a bit different depending on which model you're using. Okay, but I'm glad we got to do that. That was really cool. To finish off our Chatbox installation, let us drag Chatbox into our applications folder, and let us start using Chatbox right away. Okay, so we'll open it, and you can start using it right away. Cool. So welcome to Chatbox. I just realized it opened a new window for me. So when you're here in Chatbox, you can open the settings in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, and then switch to the Ollama API, which basically means Ollama is now responsible for connecting us to the model that we want to use. Look at how you already have some model options here, and we're going to select the 1.5B model to start with. And let me go back to the OG setting for this, which should be 0.8. All right, so let's start a chat with DeepSeek over here. Ooh. And I'll quickly take a screenshot of these settings as well for our documentation. I almost forgot. Oops. My goodness. Great. So let us ask DeepSeek, the 1.5B version, on how many R's are in strawberry. Again, we're not using the web app. We're truly just asking DeepSeek in the locally hosted one. So you can totally do this offline as well. How many R's are in strawberry? Off Ollama goes into a thinking process. Interesting, you know, there are 2 R's in strawberry, 2 R's, 2 R's again. Do you see how there's a bit of an error happening here? Strawberry has 3 R's. So let's see if DeepSeek can eventually realize that strawberry has 3 R's. No, It doesn't. Oh no! It says there are two instances of the letter R. Um, the word is spelled strawberry, spells it perfectly, but says there are only two R's, which is a bit of a shame and definitely a mistake. While we were waiting for DeepSeek's response, we were supposed to answer this, but I was so caught up in the response and the live thinking that I was like, whoa, we need to talk about this. In the meantime, though, to complete our local setup, we installed Chatbox to have a visual interface as we chat with DeepSeek R1. Our Chatbox settings, what do our Chatbox settings do? Our Chatbox settings actually use, do you remember? Do you remember what our Chatbox settings use? They use Ollama API as the API model, i.e. the tool that will connect us with the desired LLM. And the 1.5B R1 model. And I thought I should call out that we are still chatting with DeepSeek R1 locally here. It's just that we have a nice interface for it now. Okay, so it's so interesting to see the 1.5B model make that mistake because it couldn't conduct the proper reasoning. Clearly, when it is so lightweight, it is bound to make a few mistakes like that. So let's actually compare this with our larger DeepSeek model, and let us give the same question in a new chat. But this time, switch to the 1.8B model and see what happens. Interesting, interesting. To determine the number of R's in strawberry, I'll start by examining each letter in the word. I'll list out the letters, and then I'll count all the lowercase r's. I find 3 R's. Great. Already we can see much better reasoning here. And it seems like there are a total of 3 R's in strawberry. Nailed it. Nailed it. Great work. Oh my gosh. The 8B model is outperforming 1.5B for sure, with a much clearer, a much quicker response. And also look at the quality of that response. It's so clear cut. Whereas the 1.5B model seems to have thought for longer, and it seems to have really, it didn't really give the response in the clearest way possible. So very, very impressed with the 8B model's response in comparison. Okay, so let's take a screenshot of the 8B model's response, and let us take that to our documentation. So we tested 2 different R1 model sizes, which were 1.5B and 8B, using the prompt. What was the prompt we used? How many R's are in strawberry? The results made it clear that 1.5B was the lighter model. It responded with only 2 R's in strawberry, whereas the 8B model said 3. Okay, so that was a great test, and shout out to Chatbox for being so useful as well. And let's keep on going. So let us now do a temperature test. And the temperature test lets us let us actually use this advanced setting called temperature to see how you can customize DeepSeek R1. Now, temperature is not a setting that only DeepSeek R1 offers. It really is something that many LLMs offer as well. It's just that using Chatbox actually makes it very, very simple for customizing the temperature setting. So it will be a shame if we missed out on going through that today. And yeah, nice point. It seems like the 1.5B model was overthinking that strawberry question. Yeah, it could have been. If you look into it, you'll actually find that the strawberry question is a very, very, very popular question to ask an LLM, because a lot of the lightweight LLMs will not be able to process counting letters in a word very well. I can't remember for the life of me what the term was for the thing that LLMs lacked. But lightweight models, like 1.5B, they're very, very, very prone for making that mistake and saying there are only 2 R's. Okay, moving on, we're going to say that in this step, we will experiment with using DeepSeek with different temperature settings. This reveals how we can customize our LLM based on our preferences. And actually, I was going to say what those preferences are, but it's actually even better if we discover that by feeling that in the project. So maybe I'll leave that as something we discover together. So cool. Hey, John, saying deep seeking net. Love it. Thank you very much. That's so cool. We've got Mary saying, what is this, please? This is a DeepSeek project we're doing today. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got an Oxy Slayer. What a cool name, saying hello. Hello, Oxy Slayer. And we've got Tarun in the chat asking about AWS, and this is a great question to ask. We'll tackle this in the community so that we can stay focused with AI for this live. But thank you so much for asking it. Okay. And a big thank you so much to Akshay for saying, you're doing great, sharing so much content. Thank you for the info. This means so much, and thank you so much. It is really, really encouraging. Thank you for taking the time to share these kind words. It makes a big difference. Every single comment, it hits us. So just wanted to say we really appreciate that. All right, so let us try temperature settings in action. So in Chatbox here, let us select settings, and let us also play with the temperature setting by turning it up to 2. Okay, we're turning it up to 2 now. You can see that the default is about 0.8 usually, and you turn it up to 2. Temperature controls the randomness of an LLM's output. So a higher output like 2, or higher temperature, like 2, gives you more creative, more unpredictable kind of responses, while a lower temperature like 0 gives you more focused, gives you more logical responses. This is a pretty detailed setting that you definitely get access to if you're using an LLM over an API. But web apps most commonly don't give you that level of flexibility. So it's very fun that you can adjust this with Chatbox. So shout out Chatbox for making it easy for us. And a big shout out to a lovely, lovely, lovely student based in Spain. I hope you have a great day in Spain as well. Sending lots of love from New Zealand. Okay, so we have just set the temperature setting to 2. So let us start a new chat and see what that creativity looks like. Uh, Let us enter a new prompt that says create a recipe for a dessert that includes avocados, chocolate, and sea salt. Um, what the heck is this response? Mousseux is a great idea because it uses ingredients like melted cheese and some sort of base, which could include chocolate or sugar. Vichy Froideux sounds interesting as well. A Vichy custard. Do you see how this answer is like pretty creative? We've got avocado mousse, which honestly sounds pretty good. Vichy Froideux with chocolate and vanilla extract. Avocado cake and Vichy custard. What kind of desserts are these? I'm so curious, and I can't wait for us to see to see DeepSeek give us the final recommendation. It's still thinking. This is not the answer. It is still in its thinking process. So let's see what is the final recipe that we get. Okay, so while we wait for a response, let's talk about temperature. Okay, so the temperature setting in an LLM determines how creative and out of the box the temperature setting in an LLM determines how creative and out of the box it will be when it generates a response. To see this in action, we dialed up the temperature to the maximum 2 and prompted DeepSeek to generate a recipe. Okay, that's what we did. So review DeepSeek's response. Can he spot some quirky phrases? Can he spot some quirky ingredients, which I think we just did, and some quirky instructions? DeepSeek, what are you doing? Why are you overthinking? It's definitely overthinking. I think when it's thinking so hard, you almost want it to take a break, like just stop, like just breathe. You know, it's not that deep. Oh no! But why is it so overthinking? I just realized I might have made a mistake with using the 1.5B model because actually we should be doing this project, the rest of this project with the 1.8B model. So I might just stop that because that was a bit of an insane overthink as well. I think it could be a weakness of 1.5B to think like this and not really constraining or stopping itself. But let's just switch to the 8B model as our default. I should have done that just now. Sorry about that, team. And let us give it the same prompt and see what it's going to do, what the 8B model is going to give us. As a reminder, temperature is high. Temperature is 2. So let's see what kind of dessert the 8B model is going to give us. Okay, let's go. All right. And then we're going to do the low temperature test after this. Okay, very cool. Overall though, we're going to expect to see some pretty quirky things, even from the 8B response. So in this screenshot, you can see that it actually recommended like fresh orange juice as an ingredient for this dessert, which I would say is a little bit of a funky ingredient choice. And I've definitely seen some, pretty funky ideas over the 5 to 10 times I've run this prompt. So I'm very, very curious to see what we're going to see here. Okay, we have a request here about doing RAG next, and also love your platform and what you guys stand for. Love from Pakistan. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. And yes, we are definitely doing RAG as well. RAG is a very, very awesome concept. For anyone that is new to RAG, just know it's about using your own data but combining your own data with the power of an LLM. And there's so many use cases of it. I'm going to note this down because it might just be the next topic we tackle after AI agents. So thank you, Mamoon. Thank you so much, Dinesh Raj, for saying thanks for new content to learn day by day. That is so sweet. Joe says these all sound bad for my diet in response to in response to the recipe just now. And yes, Rob is saying DeepSeek is deep answering with deep writing. Yeah, my goodness, DeepSeek is really like going deep there just now. I was a bit concerned for DeepSeek. But you know what? We've got a response now from 8B, and look at how interesting and creative this response is. We got some gelatin dissolved in 50 mils of boiling water. We've got some chilled whipped cream, stiff peaks, unsalted pistachio nuts. We've got a lot of interesting steps here. Pour into 4 small glasses of ramekins. Prepare the avocado mousse. Serve. This sounds really fun. Sounds like a great dessert. I would say some of this recipe is a pretty creative one. You know, you could go very, very simple if you have just 3 ingredients: avocados, chocolate, and sea salt. So let's see what our low temperature response is going to be. So I'm going to ask the same prompt, add a new chat, but this time the settings is going to be 0 for the prompt. What do you think the low temperature response is going to be like? Off it goes. It might take a bit of sweet time. It seems like the response is really generating word by word right now. Sending prayers to my computer as it tries desperately to do this while streaming live. I feel like I'm putting my computer on the pressure test today. That's cool. In the meantime, we're just going to set up a third chat on your favorite LLM. So this is where you can whip out, ChatGPT, you can whip out Gemini, Claude, or maybe even DeepSeek in your browser, because we're about to start another chat. This new chat will act as the judge of the 2 temperatures, the 2 responses we generate. Can AI tell the difference between a high and a low temperature response? You also get to learn a breakdown of how to detect low versus high temperature text along the way, because the third chat, that AI model, is going to have to break things down and explain its thinking process to us. I'm excited to see whether or not it can tell the difference and also tell us why. Sometimes AI is better at detecting that than us. Alrighty, so let's get into it and let us actually open up ChatGPT in a new tab so that we can ask that golden question. Cool beans. We're going to enter a prompt into ChatGPT and ask it to be our temperature judge. So we're going to say, you are an AI master. I'm going to give you 2 pieces of generated text that receive the same prompt. One was generated with a high temperature, the other was generated with a low temperature. You are to identify which was generated with a higher temperature setting. So basically we're going to give it 2 pieces of text. It needs to basically tell us that first piece of text was the one with the higher temperature setting. Let's see if ChatGPT can do that. So we're going to tell ChatGPT that we have that first piece of text, but not the second yet. So we're going to say, hey, is it okay if I just give you the first response? And then you can analyze the second one when it's ready. This is so interesting. 1.8b, again, seems to be having a really, really deep thought about the response here for creating a dessert. But that's okay. We'll give it its time. We'll see if it actually turns around eventually. And in the meantime, let's copy the recipe from our first conversation with the high temperature. Okay, and then now it's going to wait for the second response. Looks like 1.8b is this low temperature conversation is taking its time. Another thought, it seems to have a lot of thoughts about what the right dessert could be. Again, is that a strength? Is that a weakness? I feel like if you're really here just for a quick and easy, like just tell me a dessert, like it's not that deep. Like if you have that kind of approach to it, you might actually prefer something that is a bit more something closer to like ChatGPT, so you can get that answer straight away. Um, or you can, ask DeepSeek, which is definitely going to be trying to apply a lot of deep reasoning, like a good reason for every single thing. And when that happens, it just overcomplicates it. It will know it's overcomplicating, but clearly not acting on that enough. So it says vice versa, wait, alternatively, I think I'm overcomplicating it, but my goodness, DeepSeek, it's okay. I almost like feel bad for DeepSeek because it's thinking so deeply about this. What do you think, team? Should we stop this conversation and start a new one? It seems like DeepSeek is spiraling. I'm just gonna close the door. 1 second. Okay. Well, it doesn't really seem like we're getting a response here. It seems to even be thinking a chocolate mousse layer, avocado and honey layer. You know what? I'm gonna stop this now and try to just give the prompt again in a new chat. I don't know what was happening there, but we're gonna keep the temperature at 0 and see if we can start a new chat. I'm so worried though. I'm like, oh my goodness, that was so much thinking over this prompt. So in the meantime, let's have a look at what's next for this project, and we give the second response to ChatGPT, and then we give a bit of an explanation as to why we're doing this. We also started a third chat with ChatGPT to, what do? We also started a third chat with ChatGPT to act as a judge between the low and high temperature responses. Can ChatGPT tell which one was generated with a high temperature? ChatGPT's analysis will also help us with understanding how to spot low versus high. So we started a third chat with ChatGPT to act as a judge for the responses. Can ChatGPT tell which one was generated with a high temperature? ChatGPT's analysis will also help us with understanding how to spot low versus high temperature generated text. Okay. Wow, I'm a little bit shocked with all the thinking that DeepSeek is going through right now. It seems like it's almost taking, it's like having a bad kind of experience with this prompt. So we'll see where this goes. But if it keeps it up like this, maybe we'll use a existing conversation I've had with this prompt, and we'll use that instead. Great point from lovely Sarab as well, saying, at this time I would have made my dessert and had it by now. Honestly, knowing the amount of overthinking that's happening with DeepSeek, that could honestly be true. I know it seems like DeepSeek isn't really, stepping up, its game right now. Oh, although it seems to be generating a response now. That's really good. Thank goodness. I know like right now what we're seeing with DeepSeek isn't really like, whoa, this is game changing, never use another LLM again. So I hope this project lets you make your own decision around, what do you prioritize, what do you want, what's going to be the right LLM for your use case. I also wanted to call out that I am using the 8B model, which is not um, DeepSeek at its best. DeepSeek at its best is a much, much, much bigger model, which I assume would be able to write a response in a more efficient way. So maybe, I'm being unkind, by showcasing DeepSeek at an 8B level, not at its best level. But truly, if we want to be able to use DeepSeek to its fullest, it would be when we're able to also like use it locally, in my opinion. When you are able to keep all of these conversations offline, like data stored in your own servers, and also without reliance on a web app. It's just something that's so fun and unique about DeepSeek compared to using like ChatGPT. Anyway, I'm really glad we have our second response. Thank you so much to everyone that stuck through that and waited that out with me. If you weren't here, I probably would have lost my mind. And let us copy that response here and paste that over to ChatGPT and see if it can tell the difference. So let us put in the second response now. What is ChatGPT going to say? Straight away, I'm always so impressed by the response time with ChatGPT. The first response was generated with a higher temperature setting straight away. Here's why. Creativity and complexity. The first response includes more complex and gourmet style elements. There's a pistachio garnish, grated chocolate, gelatin for texture, a ganache layer, things that are slightly more fancy. And the first response has multiple layers and steps, which adds a refined and sophisticated feel. Higher temperatures tend to introduce more details and complexity. They also produce more creative and diverse outputs. There is also more ingredients. It's more experimental and free-flowing. And I just really like the way that ChatGPT broke it down to the point where you can really see the keywords that triggered this analysis. Different textures, optional variations. And then it was very straightforward in saying, hey, look, the second response is more conservative. There's even a surprising element that the toast component feels a bit out of place for that second recipe. Doesn't really feel like a low temperature thing to do. But, it could be a sign of randomness. Very, very interesting. I'm so impressed with that analysis, and it came out so quickly. And it is very true. Looking at the ingredients list, the way the ingredients seem a bit more fancy and a bit more creative than what we created in the second version. So great work, ChatGPT. Let us take a screenshot of ChatGPT's analysis and add that to our documentation too. Okay, so we'll add that screenshot of ChatGPT's critique. And let's review that. How did ChatGPT critique the two recipes? ChatGPT quickly figured out which piece was generated with a high temperature because, how did it do that? It could do that because it identified that the high temperature piece featured more creative ingredients, steps, and I would say, what was the other thing? It had more layers, more complexity, and more experimental. Okay. It featured more creative ingredients, steps, and more complexity. I think we can also mention that it also identified that the second response, like the low temperature response, is simpler It's more structured and to the point. The low temperature response is also simpler. Kalani asks a good question here, by the way. When you run DeepSeek locally, will it still tell that it's unable to answer certain questions based off guidelines? This is a good question, Kalani. And I think from my experience, it will give you some pretty some pretty skirty responses for things that is outside of its guidelines and things that aren't quite, I would say, within the scope of like what DeepSeek is capable of. Even something as simple as me asking DeepSeek just now, can you tell me whether or not I can use DeepSeek offline? And instead of answering yes or no, DeepSeek just said refer to the DeepSeek documentation. So I'd expect a similar kind of response to anything that might be like uncensored, if that's what you're thinking. Like, would it censor itself live? Will it just say you should refer to this? Kind of direct it somewhere else. I think that could be the response. Okay, the secret mission is the token efficiency showdown. Are you ready? Ding, ding, ding. This is the ultimate test that we're going to be doing today. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to expose how efficiently DeepSeek and OpenAI use tokens. If you're new to the concept of tokens, that's totally okay. You don't need to be experienced to do this secret mission. This overall lets you know which model gives you the most value. So let's dive in. In this secret mission, you can set up API access to OpenAI for free. And then you can start to compare DeepSeek and OpenAI on their efficiency at the same prompts. Lastly, we'll get to showcase some advanced understanding of LLMs in our documentation. Let us just jump straight in now. I'm so excited to be showing you the difference between these two LLMs. And I am going to start by... I'm just going to start by recapping what we're going to do in this secret mission. All right, so in this secret mission, we will do the ultimate token efficiency showdown. It's time to compare the efficiency of, It's time to compare the efficiency of DeepSeek R1 versus OpenAI models. We'll do this by measuring the token count for different prompts. Okay, let us get started. We're gonna just create a new account on the OpenAI platform. And even if you already use ChatGPT, please just create a new account, because we're about to go through a few steps that lets you access OpenAI's API for free. We can only get there by creating a new account from scratch. I know it is a little bit of admin to create a new account, but trust me when I say it, it's so worth it, okay? We're about to compare DeepSeek and OpenAI's performance by analyzing something called token usage. And token usage basically tells you how efficient the model is in generating responses to prompts. Unfortunately, we can't find OpenAI's token usage inside ChatGPT. You just need to crack open the API to see details like token usage. So shall we go ahead and create an account with OpenAI? I think I might be logged in, which is totally fine. Oh, it seems like I'm not. That's good. So let us just create a new random email. Again, if you don't want to be associated with your original email, if you already have an account with OpenAI, you can use plus addressing, which is what I'm doing. So if this is my original base email, plus addressing means that I'm kind of adding a random plus and an alias that lets me create a new account with the same base email address. So I'm just going to enter a password here. Whoa, wrong email or password. Oh, I should be signing up. Oops, that's okay. That was a little mistake on my part. I should have been signing up instead of logging in. Okay, let's give that a go. Okay, so I'm going to create my account. And you might just need to verify your email, which I'm about to do now. And as you might guess, yes, with plus addressing, all of the emails still get sent to your base email address. So even if I have like plus token, as you can see here, I still have the email. It still gets sent to me, which is great. So I'm going to verify my email address, and ta-da, we're ready. Let's dive into it. Next up, we just need to enter a few details. So Natasha token demo can be our name. The birthday, enter a birthday. And let's get into it. Welcome to the OpenAI platform. When you get here, you don't need to honestly set any of this up, just create your organization. Because we're here for the test API key. Okay, don't forget the mission. We're here for an API key. We don't need to do any of this setup. Just generate that API key. And stop here. We're gonna make our first API call with this key. This key is basically like your password to using OpenAI over the API. And the cool thing about this is usually it costs money to use the API, but today what we're going to be doing is, sorry, I just realized it was a bit of a, this is like taking longer than I expected, but we're here now. So this key is kind of like your authentication to OpenAI's API. You wouldn't need these if you were just testing, if you were just using OpenAI's model over the web. If you're just using ChatGPT, you definitely don't need to look at things like test keys. But if you want to use it in your own app, if you want to use it outside of the web app environment, that's when you're going to need a test key to kind of be your authentication key into using OpenAI services even outside of the web app. So anyone that's like a developer wanting to infuse like some of OpenAI's models into their app, like they're going to be needing APIs and secret keys in order to use this service, like the OpenAI model, in their app. And that's really a lot of AI apps today. It might be like, whoa, they're so smart. They like created this magic. And what's happening behind the scenes is usually these apps are actually lending the powers of OpenAI or another model. They're like bringing the powers of that model into their app, so they don't need to develop a large language model themselves. They just pull the powers into their app and they pull it in with an API. And because they're using an API, they'll be paying the creator of it. They'll be paying OpenAI, for example. Okay. And then let us make sure we've copied that test key. Copy that. And then we're going to head back into Chatbox. Open up settings, open up the OpenAI API, and enter in that API key that you've just copied. And press save. Great. Now Chatbox is set up to use ChatGPT 4.0 mini. Make sure it's 4.0 mini. Okay, if it says like 4.0, like ChatGPT 4, you're not going to get access to that. The test key lets you use 4.0 mini, so that's the model you're going to need to use here. Here you go, the 4.0 mini model. And really, this is like a bit of a hacky way to use the OpenAI API, because usually you do have to pay. It's just that because they want you to experience like the API quickly, that they give you this little test key just for funsies. So you're going to see that you can't use this test key forever. It's just simply a key that you can use for fun, to test and to use OpenAI straight away. We're going to amp up the temperature up to 2. And then save that. And then we're going to enter that same prompt. We were asking, what were we asking? Do you remember? The prompt we asked was about creating a dessert. So let's put that in here. And let's see OpenAI try to do the same job. In the meantime, thank you so much, Amber, for the lovely question. Can we get a recording? Yes, you can. The recording is actually over in YouTube. So check out YouTube, please. And you might want to check out the live tab in YouTube. And we also have Sojaj. Hello, Natalie. Ooh, I'm called Natalie. Thanks. Are you able to do a one-on-one? Thanks so much for checking. If you have any questions, something that you want to chat about, it'll be awesome to first check out the community and see whether or not the community is there for you. And then if you have some more questions, refer to the community first. It's usually the go-to. And then we can always set things up as you become more active in the community and have more questions there. In the meantime, look at what OpenAI has created. What is going on here? It turned into gibberish. So that is such a funky little response from ChatGPT there. Imagine paying for that. Imagine if you paid OpenAI to answer this prompt, and then OpenAI is like, okay, and gives you that. It's just so funky. But let's answer this first. In a project extension, we're also comparing OpenAI and what else are we comparing OpenAI with? DeepSeek token efficiency. We could access OpenAI's API by setting up a new account and accessing a test key. Okay, really good. Let us have a look at taking a screenshot of that. Maybe we won't take a screenshot of that gibberish response. I feel like that would be like just an incoherent thing to add to our documentation. But if you're wanting to know, what happened there, what happened to OpenAI's response, don't forget that a higher temperature really increases the randomness of the response. And that could have been why OpenAI just truly became incoherent there, and why temperature settings are usually determined for you by the AI model. You wouldn't want people to have so much control that they get this gibberish and they start being like, oh my God, ChatGPT is useless. Look at what they created. In our case, we have that control, which is why we decided to play with those powers. But to kind of give OpenAI a bit of grace here, we know that DeepSeek's high temperature response, it never became incoherent. It thought for a bit long, but it wasn't incoherent. And that could be a training thing. It could be that DeepSeek was trained with a real focus on just being very coherent and being very logical, being very correct. There's so much self-doubt and so much checking and validating with DeepSeek that maybe coherence is like the impact, of having that kind of focus on logical reasoning. So that maybe that's a pro of DeepSeek. The technical implementation, of higher temperatures could also be different. So maybe 2.0 is like a huge wild thing to ask from OpenAI, whereas 2.0 from DeepSeek is no big deal. Like it's just like, oh yeah, that's like a minor change. in how wild we'll go. Whereas OpenAI is like, you want 2.0? You want 2.0? I'm going to give you 2.0, and it just goes wild. Like maybe the way they treat different temperature settings is very different too. But let's go back into Chatbox, into settings, and let's bring the temperature back down into 0 and see how ChatGPT or GPT-4o Mini is going to respond with in a bit more logical way. I really am impressed by how quickly ChatGPT can give you a response. Like this is insanely quick compared to DeepSeek. Hello? Like the answer's already here. Look at how much like thinking we kind of saw with DeepSeek before we got to the answer. Did that thinking process matter to you? Like, did you need that? Maybe you didn't. Maybe you just wanted to see the response. And look, it's not that different. The response is really not that different. They both gave me an avocado chocolate mousse with sea salt, which I think is like crazily, like almost scarily similar. But what you're going to zoom in on now is on the token use, which we're going to jump into after we answer this. When we used a higher temperature, OpenAI's model's response became incoherent. Other languages and words and sentence structures became totally irrelevant to the prompt. Oof. This is likely because of a different training. Oh, this is likely because of a different training style and treatment of 2.2. Okay, sorry, I'm like pausing a little bit because I know I just maxed out my character count again. But let us read this answer again. When we used a higher temperature, OpenAI's models became incoherent. Other languages and words and sentence structures. Okay, I'm going to take this part of the sentence out. It became incoherent, totally irrelevant to the prompt. This is likely because of a different training style and treatment of 2.0 as a measure of creativity and I would say unpredictability of the response. I would say actually it's creativity or predictability of the response. Okay, so you might notice you got a much more coherent response. Thank goodness for that. Thank you, good job. But at the bottom of the chat, let's notice how many tokens OpenAI took, and it was about 500 tokens. Okay, 500 tokens were used, and if you're wondering, tokens are like the building blocks of text, and it's a very, very, very important measure in the world of AI. A token can be a word, a part of a word, or even just a character. It really depends on the language and the model. For example, in AI is amazing, the tokens might be AI is amazing, exclamation mark. Like each of these will be a token. Models process text one token at a time, and they try to predict the next token based on the context of your prompt. So more tokens means more processing power is needed, which is why AI models often have token limits. And this is so true. Like if you use the free kind of tier of an AI model, you're going to notice that you're likely to hit like token limits. And it's so interesting to see that you have 508 with OpenAI, and then if you look at DeepSeek's model, it was 325 tokens used. So you are very likely to see that DeepSeek has the smaller token count here. Okay, and the smaller token count is great news because models often charge you based on token usage. A lower token count means that DeepSeek is being more efficient and you're paying less for the same request. Usually you get charged based on the number of millions of tokens that are used. So if I remember correctly, OpenAI currently charges about $2.50 for a million requests, and then DeepSeek is about 1.5 cents today. I think it's 1.5 cents. I think it's that for a million requests. And that is like today's pricing. Even if I got those specific numbers wrong, just know, rule of thumb, DeepSeek is charging about 20 times less than OpenAI for its API. So this truly comes to show us just the reason why DeepSeek is in the news, because it can achieve these kinds of results and with much fewer tokens as well. It's more efficient, it charges you less, all around, meaning AI is a lot more accessible now. Okay, so you're thinking, oh wait, hold on, so what did you mean by charging less? I thought DeepSeek was free to use. I thought it was open source. So what do you mean by paying? Well, as an open source company, DeepSeek's models and the code is freely available for you to download, just like what you saw with Ollama. It's just that not everyone has the hardware or technical experience to run those models. You would have seen just now that my computer struggled with 8B. Most computers probably wouldn't be able to run DeepSeek R1 at its full capacity. So because of this, how can you access the powers of the full version of DeepSeek without having to buy hardware? You will do this by using the DeepSeek API. Just like how we set up the OpenAI API, there's an equivalent with DeepSeek that says, hey, send your request to me via your API. So let's say you have an AI app and you want to be infusing a bit of the DeepSeek powers in your AI app. Every time you want your app to do the magic, do the thing, you would send that request over to DeepSeek via your app's, via the API that your app's code is using, that's in your app's code. And then DeepSeek's going to run that request in their servers, be like, all right, here's the results. Here's something that you can now display on your app or do on your app. And then you will pay DeepSeek for running the request for you. And that is just a great way for you to avoid having to buy hardware in order to use DeepSeek at its full capacity. And I just think the great thing about this is, again, DeepSeek is a lot cheaper than OpenAI. So you can see the pricing here. And with DeepSeek, I think right now they're actually on discounted pricing, which is why it is so cheap at 1.5 cents. But eventually it'll get into 7 cents. So I would say get in quick with that discounted pricing while you can, which, by the way, once it hits full pricing, it's still going to be much cheaper than OpenAI as of today. Yeah, $2.50 for a million input tokens, and then this one is 1.5 cents, which is awesome. That's awesome. Okay, we're going to take a screenshot of the number of tokens that DeepSeek uses, and we'll add that to our documentation as well. Token efficiency refers to, for the same request, what happens. So token efficiency refers to how many or little tokens an LLM uses or processes in order to generate a response. For the same request, DeepSeek used around 300 tokens, whereas OpenAI's model used about 500 tokens. For developers, this means DeepSeek is more efficient. And really, it just means DeepSeek is cheaper. Okay, so well done on completing this very, very comprehensive introduction. I feel like I'm almost saying an oxymoron, comprehensive introduction, because we did go through quite a bit, didn't we? Just from going through DeepSeek online on the web app, all the way to doing temperature tests and comparing the token efficiency with ChatGPT. So we did quite a bit there. And I hope you have learned something today, and let's get ready to delete our resources and reset our computer. So we're going to just remove the DeepSeek models from Ollama. This is optional. If you want to keep it, keep it. But we're going to go through how you can delete it. You can uninstall Ollama and uninstall Chatbox as well. Great. Let's get started by first removing the DeepSeek models. This is going to free up some space. As you might have noticed, it takes a bit of storage space to have those two. So let us remove those two. Okay, we've just deleted the DeepSeek 1.5B model as well as the 8B model. So if you were to go into Chatbox again and use the Ollama API, what's going to happen? Yeah, no more. You can't even select those models anymore. They don't exist. Okay, so let us keep on going. And you can even run actually a command called Ollama list. Ollama list. Oh, Ollama list. Where you can see the list of LLM models that are still left in your computer. In our case, we got no more models left, so we've deleted that perfectly. Shall we go next one? Delete it. Next one, let's remove Ollama itself. So in the terminal, we need to run the following commands to remove Ollama. And that is the wrong command. Sorry team, I did not realize that I had the wrong command here. So I'm going to make sure to update the project guide after this. But in the meantime, let us find a way for us to uninstall Ollama. That's okay. I think we might just need to use a command for removing it. But I wonder which command that is. Is it this one that I had saved? Oh, I just realized it's a Linux command. Oh my gosh. Oops. I think I was just hoping to get the command for... If I'm not wrong, you should be able to actually uninstall Ollama by finding it in your applications folder and uninstalling it. But if there was a problem with this, I'll make sure to update the project guide. But I remember uninstalling it this way once, and I was like, oh, that actually worked perfectly fine. So I'm just going to run this demo by deleting Ollama straight from the applications folder. And so with Chatbox, you don't need Chatbox if you don't plan on using LLMs locally. So you can quit Chatbox like this, and then delete Chatbox, trash it. It's okay. You can always download Chatbox again when you're ready to use it again. This is fun. I can't even find Chatbox on my downloads folder. Oh, okay, it was hidden at the top. There we go. In the meantime, we have have a few comments here, so I thought I'd just quickly address them. 1 second. Okay, so we have Yo from Zamil. Hi, Zamil. We have a few questions about the whole screen not being visible over Instagram. Just please know that the recording for this is available over YouTube. So if you search Next Week on YouTube, you can see it full screen. Great work, team. Okay, so if I'm not wrong, I think the commands for removing Olama, by the way, I think first, I'm pretty sure we've already killed all of the Olama processes, but you would run this command pkill-9 Olama to just kill any running like Olama processes. And then you would actually have to remove Olama, and it's binary. And I think usually the command for that is to go sudo remove, then remove from this path reference. I think it's user local /bin/olama. Okay, it should be removed now. And if you want to remove the data and configuration files, you probably just have to run which Olama. Oh, I have Olama downloaded over Homebrew. Oh, okay. That's interesting. So like if Homebrew shows up as a result for you, what you'll need to do is to just uninstall like Olama with Homebrew. And I think the command for that, this is so funny. I think the command for that is this. I think, if I'm not wrong, it should be just brew uninstall Olama. Okay, I think it's uninstalling now. Treating Olama as a formula, it's uninstalling. Very good. Let's run which Olama. Olama not found. It should be done now. I think Olama is officially gone. So we'll make sure to just remove Olama there if you don't need it anymore. And then once you're all ready, I think we're all done with this project. That was such a ride trying to delete Olama. But I think we're ready to wrap up this project now. My goodness, what an experience this has been, team. Okay, so services we used for this project were DeepSeek, my goodness, what else did we do? Olama, Chatbox, and the OpenAI API platform. Key concepts we learned. We learned so much in this project, didn't we? Oh, I had so much fun. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Key concepts we learned include how to include like advanced prompts, reasoning prompts. We also talked about self-hosting. We also talked about temperature settings. Those are like 3 examples. We also talked about token efficiency. Token efficiency and temperature settings. After reviewing DeepSeek versus OpenAI, what did you personally prefer? I'm going to leave this open book here because I'm not going to lead us on to a specific answer. I'm curious to know, we can vote in the chat now. Which platform do people prefer? Do you prefer DeepSeek for that live reasoning? Do you like it because you can self-host it? Do you like it because you could use it with Chatbox and adjust some temperature settings? Do you like that you can use like a smaller distilled model? Whereas with OpenAI, do you like the convenience and speed of ChatGPT's responses? Although I do have to say DeepSeek V3, which is the version of DeepSeek without the deep thinking, seems to be just as smart and just as fast. Just as fast. Or, do you prefer ChatGPT because you feel like this is simply the model you're more familiar with? If that's the reason, totally fair. Especially if you've done this entire project and you've gotten really hands-on with DeepSeek by now. Okay, this project took us a surprising amount of time because of the errors I ran into and the fun demo time we spent together. But all in all, this project took us approximately 2.5 hours to complete, including demo time. The most challenging part was, I would say it was DeepSeek. DeepSeek's 1.5B model's overthinking. Oh, actually, it wasn't even the 1.5B model. I would say just the overthinking in general, because the 8B model also did some overthinking about the dessert question. So it was most rewarding to see, I would say, it was most rewarding to compare token efficiency. And I personally really liked using Chatbox as well. It just gives you a very visual experience with DeepSeek. Okay, thank you so much for doing this project. Why did you do this project today? Did it meet your goals? Answer truthfully. We're very curious to know, and this is a great way for you to wrap up your project. Did you meet your goals? Did it hit what you were looking for? We did this project today to better understand DeepSeek and form our own opinions around whether it is something we want to switch to compared to OpenAI or other popular LLMs in general. This project has a hands-on focus and helped us see both the pros and cons of DeepSeek. Thank you so much, team. That's a wrap. I'm so sorry about the image failing to load at the bottom there, but by the time you see this project yourself, you should see a very, very beautiful badge saying that you are an AI and LLM expert. So you should be so proud of yourself, and thank you for learning with me on using DeepSeek both online and locally, controlling the creativity of DeepSeek with temperature settings, having fun with those distilled models, those smaller models, and really thoroughly comparing DeepSeek versus OpenAI. So let us finish that mission together. Great work, everyone, and watch that generate. We'll download our documentation, and you can even choose another sharing option. So we can generate a post maybe for LinkedIn. Off it goes, creates that post for LinkedIn. Nice, 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 looks very good. And you can choose to save your project as a PDF. So we can save our documentation here. It looks great, I'm sure. Look at that. Ooh, it looks really good, team. It looks really good. And this is all your work. This is all things that you've written as you completed this project. So well done, you. I think this is something to be extremely proud of. All right, so if you'd like to use this documentation and share it with someone on LinkedIn, for example, you can always, highlight the techniques right here. You can also, I'm sad about this not being able to take that text away. I wonder what happened here. This usually doesn't happen. Usually you'd be able to X this out, cross this out. I wonder if this is a temporary bug. Let me just try that again. Loading preview, loading. Ah, interesting. It really did just keep this link here. Well, we don't really need that, do we? So let us write a new one and add our document directly. And you can put your documentation here. Where else can you put your documentation? I have a great place in mind. You can definitely put your documentation in your portfolio. I have an example portfolio here, and I'm gonna add my project, the project we just completed together. Let's say we're gonna call this how to use DeepSeek, let's say over the web app, and host it locally. Actually, maybe that would be the snappy name that we want to use. I'm gonna upload that, and look at that, you can actually see my project as a part of my portfolio now with Nexark, which is awesome. It looks pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. Yay! Ooh, this looks great. Well, thank you so much for joining me in this project. I had so much fun. I hope you learned a lot about DeepSeek. I hope you've got to form your own opinions about DeepSeek, and I hope you walk away with a bit more confidence and a bit more understanding about what's happening in the news right now. So thank you so much for being a part of this learning journey, and a big shout out to everyone that really made it such a lively experience in the chat. We'll see you next time in the next project demo. We'll likely be tackling using DeepSeek or using another AI model, whichever AI model you choose, to build an AI agent. So we'll see you then. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.